Before you ever fired a cannon, raised the black flag, or dreamed of buried treasure, you had already made the most important decision of your life. You chose to become a pirate. It wasn't because you were born a criminal. It wasn't because you craved bloodshed or adventure. For most men during the early 18th century, piracy wasn't a fantasy. It was an escape. An escape from hunger, from endless labor, from cruel captains who ruled their ships with whips instead of words, from a world where an ordinary sailor could spend years at sea, only to return home with little more than worn-out clothes, broken bones, and an empty pocket. Life aboard a merchant ship was brutal. Food was scarce, water turned stale after weeks at sea, disease spread quickly through cramped sleeping quarters where dozens of exhausted men lived shoulder to shoulder. Punishments were savage. A single mistake could earn a sailor dozens of lashes across his back, and questioning an officer's authority was often answered with violence. The Royal Navy was little better. Many sailors never volunteered at all. They were seized from docks, taverns, or even the streets by press gangs and forced into military service against their will. Once aboard, escape was nearly impossible. The sea became a prison with no walls. Death was always nearby. Storms could swallow an entire fleet overnight. Disease killed more sailors than enemy cannons ever did. A single infected wound, something that would be considered minor today, could become a death sentence within days. Against this harsh reality, piracy offered something almost unimaginable: choice. A pirate captain could not simply command his crew like a king. His authority existed only because the crew allowed it. Every man had a voice. Every man had rights. Every man expected a fair share of the profits. It wasn't equality in the modern sense. Pirate life was still dangerous, violent, and unforgiving, but compared to the rigid hierarchy of merchant ships and naval vessels, it felt revolutionary. You would not be beaten simply because an officer was angry. You would not work for years while someone else collected your wages. If you risked your life, you expected to be rewarded. And if your captain failed you, the crew could replace him. That simple idea changed everything. Pirates were criminals in the eyes of every empire, yet aboard their own ships, they created one of the most surprisingly democratic societies of their age. They wrote their own rules, they elected their own leaders, they settled disputes among themselves, and every man who joined accepted both the rewards and the consequences. There were no courts to protect you, no government to rescue you, no second chances if you were captured. The black flag represented absolute freedom, but freedom came with an equally absolute price. Every voyage could be your last. Every battle might end with a musket ball through your chest. Every successful raid pushed the governments of Europe one step closer to hunting you down. The life ahead promised wealth beyond anything an ordinary sailor could imagine, but it also promised hardship, fear, blood, and the constant shadow of death. Still, thousands of men accepted that bargain, not because it was easy, but because for a brief moment in history, it offered something the rest of the world did not: the chance to live and die as a free man. And now, standing on the weathered deck of your newly chosen ship, with the salty wind filling the black sails above your head, you are no longer an ordinary sailor. You have crossed a line from which there is no return. The world behind you belongs to kings. The world ahead belongs to pirates. Your new life has just begun. The moment your ship slips beyond the sight of land, your old life disappears with it. There is no turning back. The sea is now your home. A pirate ship is nothing like the grand vessels portrayed in stories and films. It is smaller, rougher, and far more crowded than most people imagine. Every inch of space serves a purpose, and every man aboard is expected to earn his place. Comfort does not exist here. Below deck, the air is thick with the smell of salt water, damp wood, gunpowder, sweat, and tar. The ceiling is so low that many men cannot stand upright. Hammocks hang side by side, packed so closely together that sleeping without brushing against another sailor is nearly impossible. Privacy is a luxury no pirate has ever known. Your possessions fit inside a single sea chest or a canvas bag. Everything you own must survive storms, sea spray, battles, and months without touching land. Anything unnecessary is simply extra weight. Every sunrise begins the same way. Before you fully opened your eyes, the watch has already changed and work is underway. There is always something that needs attention. The sails must be trimmed to catch the changing wind. The rigging must be inspected for frayed lines. The deck must be scrubbed to prevent rot and keep it from becoming dangerously slippery. The cannons must be cleaned and kept ready, even during weeks of peaceful sailing. Salt water is relentless. It attacks iron, weakens rope, cracks wood, and slowly destroys everything it touches. A ship that isn't constantly maintained is a ship already beginning to die. Everyone works, even the captain. Unlike naval officers who often remained above the labor of ordinary sailors, a pirate captain earns respect by sharing the hardships of his crew. His authority comes from competence, not privilege. If he refuses to pull his weight, he will quickly lose the confidence of the men who elected him. Among the crew, every man has a responsibility. The helmsman guides the ship through changing winds and dangerous waters. The boatswain oversees the rigging and ensures every rope, sail, and pulley remains in working order. The gun crews maintain the cannons, constantly practicing until loading and firing becomes second nature. The cook works in a tiny galley where every meal must be prepared over an open fire that rocks with the motion of the sea. Then there is the carpenter. Few men aboard are more valuable. A single cannonball can tear a hole through the hull in seconds. During battle, while muskets fire and swords clash overhead, the carpenter races below deck with planks, nails, oakum, and tar, desperately sealing leaks before the ocean claims the ship. Without him, every man aboard could be dead within minutes. Water is rationed carefully. Fresh water spoils quickly in wooden barrels, often becoming foul long before the voyage ends. As supplies run low, the daily allowance grows smaller, and even a single cup of water can bring the anger of the entire crew. Food is simple and repetitive. Salted beef, salted pork, hardtack biscuits so dry they can crack a tooth, dried peas, occasionally rice or oatmeal. Fresh food disappears within days of leaving port. Soon every meal tastes nearly identical, and finding worms inside a biscuit becomes so common that few sailors even bother removing them. Hunger teaches men to lower their standards. Yet despite these hardships, pirate crews often lived better than ordinary merchant sailors. Whenever a prize was captured, fresh meat, fruit, cheese, wine, or spices taken from the cargo were shared among the crew whenever possible. A successful raid could transform weeks of miserable eating into an unexpected feast. Discipline exists aboard every pirate ship, but it is very different from the discipline enforced by a navy. No officer carries unquestioned authority. Rules exist because every crew member agreed to them before the voyage began. These written agreements, known as the Articles, govern nearly every aspect of life aboard the ship. They determine how treasure is divided, how disputes are settled, when lights must be extinguished at night, how gambling is regulated, what punishments await thieves, cowards, or men who endanger the crew. Every pirate understands those rules. Every pirate accepts them willingly, because unlike the laws of kings, these are laws created by the men who must live under them.
That sense of shared responsibility binds the crew together more tightly than fear ever could. Out here, hundreds of miles from the nearest shore, no government can protect you, no court can judge you, no army can rescue you. The only people standing between you and the endless ocean are the men beside you. Trust is no longer a virtue, it is survival. As another day fades into the horizon, the ship continues its steady rhythm across the open sea. The sails snap in the wind, the waves strike the hull, the stars slowly emerge overhead. Tomorrow will look almost exactly like today, unless fate has something else waiting beyond the horizon. Because somewhere out there, another ship is sailing towards destiny. And before long, so are you.
On a pirate ship, there are many men whose skills keep the crew alive. The captain guides the ship. The navigator finds the way. The gunner commands the cannons. But when disaster strikes, when steel cuts through flesh and cannon fire tears through bone, one man becomes more valuable than almost anyone aboard: the carpenter. To a modern observer, this may seem strange. A carpenter is supposed to work with wood, not human bodies. He builds masts, he repairs hulls, he replaces damaged beams, he keeps a wounded ship from sinking. But during the Golden Age of Piracy, the carpenter often carried another responsibility. He was the man who performed surgery. Because at sea, there was rarely a trained doctor available. A pirate ship could spend months far from any port. A professional surgeon was expensive, difficult to find, and not every vessel carried one. So when a man's arm was shattered by a cannonball or his leg was crushed during battle, the crew turned to the person who already understood tools, cutting, and working quickly under pressure: the carpenter. He knew his instruments, he understood how to make precise cuts, and most importantly, he was not afraid to do what had to be done. The most common major operation at sea was amputation. In a world before antibiotics, a damaged limb was often more dangerous than losing the limb itself. A deep wound could become infected, the infection could spread, and once gangrene took hold, death was almost certain. Removing the ruined arm or leg was not an act of cruelty, it was often the only chance a sailor had to survive. Before surgery began, the injured man would be given whatever pain relief was available. Strong alcohol, usually rum, was commonly used. Some men received laudanum, a powerful opium-based medicine that could dull pain and make the patient less aware of what was happening. But no medicine of the time could truly remove the agony. The patient might be given a piece of leather or wood to bite down on. His shipmates would hold him tightly to prevent sudden movement. Then, the carpenter would begin. Speed was everything. A slow operation meant more suffering and a greater chance of death. The tools were simple but terrifying. A large saw for cutting through bone, sharp knives for cutting through flesh, clamps and forceps for removing musket balls and metal fragments, needles and thread for stitching wounds. These instruments were often stored inside a surgeon's chest captured from another ship. To pirates, such a chest was a valuable prize, not because it contained gold, but because it contained survival. After a battle, the main deck could become an improvised operating room. The same wooden boards where men had fought moments earlier would now hold the wounded. The smell of gunpowder would be replaced by the smell of blood, alcohol, smoke, and burning flesh. Sword wounds were treated as best as possible. A deep cut might be cleaned and stitched closed, but without modern understanding of infection, even a wound that looked survivable could become deadly days later. One method used to control severe bleeding was cauterization. A piece of iron was heated until it became red hot and pressed directly against the wound. The intense heat sealed blood vessels and stopped bleeding. The process was effective in some cases, but it was also horrifying. The sound of burning flesh, the smell of smoke rising from a man's body, the screams echoing across the deck. These were common realities of naval warfare. There was no clean hospital, no modern anesthesia, no antibiotics, only the skill of one man and the determination of another to survive.
Yet, pirate society had something unusual compared to many other sailors. They had a system to support the wounded. Before a voyage began, pirates agreed to their articles, their written rules that governed life aboard the ship. Those agreements often included compensation for injuries suffered during battle. A man who lost an eye, an arm, or a leg was not simply abandoned. He received payment from the crew's shared funds. The exact amount varied from ship to ship, but the principle remained the same. A man who sacrificed his body for the crew deserved protection from that crew. This created a powerful bond. Every pirate knew that if he fell in battle, his brothers would not leave him behind. They would fight beside him, they would care for him, and they would make sure his sacrifice was remembered. Of course, this did not make pirate life safe. Far from it. Every voyage carried the possibility of disaster. A cannonball could end a life instantly. A small cut could become a deadly infection. A simple fever could sweep through the entire ship. The ocean was filled with dangers that no sword or cannon could defeat. But pirates understood one truth better than most sailors of their time. Survival depended on each other. The ship was more than wood, rope, and sails. It was a floating community. And when the terrible moment came, when a man's fate rested on the edge of a carpenter's blade, the entire crew waited, hoping that skill, courage, and a little luck would be enough. Because on the pirate ship, the difference between life and death could be measured in minutes.
A battle is not the only thing trying to kill you at sea. In fact, for many sailors throughout history, the greatest enemy was not another ship. It was the invisible enemy, disease. Life aboard a pirate vessel creates the perfect environment for sickness to spread. Hundreds of men live together in a small wooden world surrounded by water. There is limited fresh air below deck, poor sanitation, and no understanding of germs or bacteria. A single illness can move through the entire crew like wildfire. One man becomes sick, then another, then another. Within days, half the ship may be struggling to stand. The ocean does not stop because men are dying. The sails still need raising, the cannons still need cleaning, the ship still needs steering. Even a sick pirate was expected to do everything possible to keep the vessel alive. Among the most common dangers was fever. A simple infection that today might be treated easily could become deadly during the 18th century. Without antibiotics, the human body had to fight alone. A small wound from a rusty nail, a cut from a sword, a splinter from the ship's wooden deck, any of these could introduce infection and slowly destroy a man's health. The crew also feared diseases that spread through crowded living conditions. Dysentery was one of the most dangerous. Caused by contaminated food or water, it brought severe stomach problems, dehydration, and weakness. On a long voyage, when supplies were limited and cleanliness was difficult, an outbreak could quickly become a disaster. But perhaps the most famous disease of the age of sailing was scurvy. For sailors crossing oceans for months at a time, scurvy was a constant nightmare. The cause was simple, a lack of vitamin C. But sailors of the time did not understand nutrition the way we do today. They only knew that after weeks or months without fresh fruits and vegetables, men began to change. Their gums became swollen and began to bleed. Their teeth loosened and fell out. Old wounds reopened. Their bodies became weak and exhausted. Eventually, many died. Fresh citrus fruits could prevent it, but keeping them available during long voyages was difficult. Pirates were often better supplied than ordinary sailors because successful raids gave them access to better food and captured supplies. But they were not immune. The ocean was still the ocean. The human body still had limits, and every pirate knew that the greatest treasure aboard any ship was not gold, it was health. But pirates had another problem. Even if a man survived disease, he still had to survive battle. And battle could leave permanent damage. A musket ball could take an eye, a sword could destroy a hand, a cannon blast could remove an entire limb. For ordinary sailors, such injuries often meant the end of their livelihood.
A man missing an arm could no longer perform the hard physical labor required aboard a ship. A man missing a leg could easily become helpless. In many societies of the time, wounded workers were simply forgotten, but pirate crews operated differently. Their entire system depended on loyalty. Before a voyage began, every pirate agreed to a set of rules known as the Articles. These articles were not just about dividing treasure, they created a complete system for life aboard the ship. They explained duties, they established punishments, and importantly, they protected injured crew members. A pirate who lost a body part during service to the ship was entitled to compensation. The amount varied depending on the injury and the crew's agreement. A lost eye, a damaged limb, a serious wound, each had a value. The money came from the shared pirate funds before the remaining treasure was divided. This was one of the most remarkable aspects of pirate society. They had created something similar to an early form of insurance. A sailor knew that if he risked everything in battle, he would not be abandoned afterward. He was not just another worker, he was a member of a brotherhood. This system also made practical sense. A crew that took care of its wounded was a crew that inspired loyalty. A man was more willing to fight beside his shipmates if he believed they would protect him if disaster came. Trust was not just a moral idea, it was a survival strategy. The Pirate Code created a powerful bond between men who had nothing else to rely on. No government, no family nearby, no safety net, only each other. Of course, this did not mean pirate life was kind or peaceful. Punishments could be harsh, violence was common, death was always close. But compared to the brutal conditions faced by many sailors of the same era, pirate society offered something unusual, a promise. If you fought for the crew would fight for you. Still, the smartest pirate was not the man who survived most battles. It was the man who avoided unnecessary ones. Every injury carried a price. Every battle risked losing skilled sailors. Every damaged ship became harder to repair. The best pirates understood that survival was the greatest victory. And survival required something more important than strength. It required knowledge, the ability to find your way across thousands of miles of open ocean, the ability to understand winds, currents, and stars. Because before a pirate could capture another ship, he first had to find it, and that meant mastering the most important skill of all, navigation.
The ocean does not care who you are. It does not care if you were born a nobleman, a poor fisherman, or a man who escaped a life of slavery in search for freedom. Out there, beyond the sight of land, the sea judges everyone equally. A storm can destroy a king's ship just as easily as a pirate's vessel. A wave does not recognize a flag. And because the ocean was so unforgiving, the men who lived upon it needed something stronger than fear to survive. They needed rules. You might imagine pirates as wild men who followed no laws, men who drank, fought, and stole whenever they pleased. But the truth was far more surprising. A pirate ship was not a place without order. It was a place with a different kind of order, a small, floating republic. Before you ever stepped aboard your new ship, before you raised the black flag, before you shared in the wealth of a captured prize, you would first have to agree to a document known as the Articles of Agreement. This was the Pirate Code. It was not a code written by kings. It was not created by governors or naval officers. It was written by the crew themselves. Every man had a voice. Every man had a vote. For perhaps the first time in his life, an ordinary sailor had a say in his own destiny. On merchant ships and navy vessels, a sailor lived under the absolute authority of officers. A captain could order punishment. A captain could take away wages. A captain could force men to work until their bodies failed. But on a pirate ship, things were different.
The captain was powerful, but he was not a king. He was chosen because the crew believed he was the best man to lead them into battle. And if he failed, the same men who gave him power could take it away. A pirate captain was not a ruler above his crew. He was a leader trusted by his crew. That difference changed everything. Before a voyage began, the entire crew would gather. The articles would be read aloud. Every man would listen carefully, because once you signed your name or placed your mark upon the document, you accepted the rules, you accepted the risks, and you accepted the rewards. The first and most important rule was the division of treasure. Unlike naval officers or merchant captains who often kept the greatest share of profits for themselves, pirate crews operated under a system of shares. The captured wealth belonged to everyone, not just the captain, not just the strongest fighters, everyone. The captain usually received 2 shares. The quartermaster might receive 1.5. Experienced specialists, such as the carpenter or gunner, might receive extra compensation. But the ordinary pirate, he received 1 full share. One man's life was not considered more valuable than another man's simply because of his position. For sailors who had spent years being abused and underpaid on merchant ships, this idea was revolutionary. The pirate life was dangerous, but at least the reward was fair. The second great principle was compensation for injury. Every pirate knew the risks. A cannon blast could destroy your arm. A musket ball could take your eye. A sword could end your life in seconds. The crew understood that a man who sacrificed his body for the ship deserved protection. So the articles often included a form of early insurance. Lose an eye, you received compensation. Lose an arm, you received compensation. Lose a leg, you received compensation. The exact amounts varied from ship to ship, but the idea remained the same. A wounded pirate would not simply be thrown away. You were part of the brotherhood. The ship had a responsibility to you. This was one of the reasons many desperate sailors chose piracy over ordinary life at sea. A poor sailor on a merchant ship could become disabled and be left with nothing. A pirate who lost a limb could still have a future. But freedom came with limits. A pirate ship could not survive without discipline. The ocean was too dangerous. A single careless mistake could kill everyone. So the pirate code contained strict punishments. Fighting among crew members was often forbidden. Weapons could not be drawn during arguments. Disputes were usually settled by the quartermaster. The quartermaster was one of the most important men on the ship. He was not simply an assistant, he was the voice of the crew. He made sure the captain did not abuse his authority. He supervised supplies, he controlled the division of treasure, and he helped maintain order. In many ways, the quartermaster was the balance against the captain's power. The captain commanded during battle, but the quartermaster protected the rights of ordinary pirates. Together, they created a system that allowed hundreds of dangerous men to live and work together. Stealing from your own crew was considered one of the worst crimes imaginable. A pirate could forgive an enemy trying to kill him, but betrayal from inside the brotherhood was different. The entire system depended on trust. If men could secretly hide treasure before the division, the whole idea of equality would collapse. A pirate caught cheating his fellow sailors could face severe punishment. Because a pirate ship was built on one simple understanding: we share the danger, so we share the reward. The code also governed daily life. It decided when men worked, when they rested, how food was distributed, how alcohol was controlled. Even gambling could be restricted, because a crew that constantly fought among itself was a crew that would die. The pirate world looked chaotic from the outside, but inside the ship there was a surprising amount of organization. The men were criminals to the governments of the world, but among themselves they created their own society. A society built on votes, contracts, and shared profit. A society where an ordinary sailor could challenge authority. A society where freedom came with a price. Because the same ocean that gave them freedom also demanded everything from them. As you stand on the deck of your new ship, listening to the articles being read aloud, you realize something important. You did not simply join a group of thieves, you joined a brotherhood, a dangerous brotherhood, a violent brotherhood, but also one where a poor man could become powerful, where a nobody could become respected, where a sailor with nothing could suddenly hold a fortune in his hands. The black flag was not only a symbol of rebellion, it was a promise that out here, beyond the reach of kings and governments, you would live by your own rules. But freedom on the sea was never free. The ocean always demanded payment. And soon, you would learn the hardest lesson of pirate life. Before you can chase treasure, you must first survive the ship itself.
The first thing you learn about life at sea is that the ocean is beautiful from a distance. From the shore, the waves look peaceful, the wind feels refreshing, the endless blue horizon looks like freedom. But once you step onto the wooden deck of a ship and leave land behind, the illusion disappears. The sea is not a paradise. It is a living creature. It is unpredictable. It is powerful. And every day it tests whether you are strong enough to survive. Your pirate ship is now your home. Not for a week, not for a month, sometimes for many months at a time. The wooden walls around you are not just a ship. They are your bedroom, your workplace, your battlefield, and sometimes your grave. When you first walk below deck, the smell hits you immediately. It is a mixture of salt water, sweat, wet wood, smoke, old clothing, and spoiled food. Hundreds of years before modern ships had comfortable cabins and clean living spaces, sailors lived in cramped and difficult conditions. A pirate vessel was not built for comfort. It was built for speed, survival, and carrying weapons. Every inch of space had a purpose. The lower deck was dark, the ceiling was low, the air was thick and heavy. There were no private rooms for ordinary crew members. Most pirates slept in shared spaces surrounded by ropes, barrels, weapons, and supplies. Privacy was almost non-existent. Your bed is not a comfortable mattress. It is usually a simple hammock, a piece of cloth or canvas stretched between ropes. At first, sleeping in it feels strange. The ship moves constantly beneath you. The floor rises and falls with every wave. Your body must learn to move with the rhythm of the ocean. But sailors quickly discovered something important. A hammock was better than sleeping on the hard wooden floor. During storms, when the ship rolled violently from side to side, a hammock moved with the ship. It reduced the chance of being thrown across the deck. It was not luxury, but it was survival. Life on a pirate ship followed the rhythm of the sea. There was no morning alarm clock. The day began with the changing of the watch. The crew was divided into groups responsible for different periods of work. While some men slept, others remained awake, watching the horizon, adjusting sails, repairing equipment, steering the ship. A sailor's work never truly ended. The ocean demanded constant attention. A loose rope could become deadly. A damaged sail could slow the ship. A mistake at the wheel could send everyone into disaster. Every man had a role, and every role mattered. The food was another challenge. A pirate's diet was not the romantic feast that stories often described. There were no endless tables filled with fresh meat and tropical fruit. Most of the time, sailors survived on simple, preserved food. Hard biscuits, called hardtack, were a major part of their diet. They were dry, nearly impossible to chew, and often filled with insects after long storage. sailors joked about the tiny creatures living inside them. They called them ship's friends, because after weeks at sea, even unwanted company became normal. Salted meat was another common food, usually pork or beef preserved with a large amount of salt. It could last for months, but the quality slowly decreased. Fresh meat disappeared quickly after leaving port. Fresh vegetables were even more valuable, and without them, sailors faced one of the most feared diseases in history, scurvy, a terrible illness caused by a lack of vitamin C. At first, the symptoms seemed harmless: weakness, tiredness, pain in the joints, but eventually the disease became horrifying. Gums would swell and bleed, teeth would loosen, old wounds would reopen. A strong sailor could become too weak to stand. Many men died not from battles, but from what happened when the ship was simply too far from land. Water was another constant problem. A ship carried barrels of fresh water, but keeping it clean for long voyages was difficult. After weeks or months, the water could become dirty and unpleasant. Sometimes sailors mixed it with alcohol to make it safer to drink. This created drinks like grog, a mixture of water and rum. The rum was not only for pleasure, it was part of life aboard the ship. It helped preserve morale, it helped sailors endure the hardships, and it reminded them that they were still human beings, not just workers trapped on a floating piece of wood. Despite the harsh conditions, pirate crews developed their own sense of community. They ate together, worked together, fought together, suffered together. The shared hardship created a powerful bond. A sailor might argue with another man over a card game. They might fight over a small disagreement. But when another ship appeared on the horizon, those differences disappeared, because survival depended on trust. The man standing next to you during a boarding attack was the same man who shared your last drink during a storm. Your life depended on him, and his life depended on you. The pirate ship was a strange world. It was dangerous but organized, violent but cooperative, cruel but sometimes surprisingly fair. A place where men who had been powerless on land could find a strange kind of independence. But there was one enemy no pirate could fight with a sword, an enemy that did not care how brave you were, an enemy that could defeat an entire crew without firing a single cannon: disease. Sooner or later, every sailor faced it, and when sickness spread through the crowded ship, the crew needed someone who understood the difference between life and death, someone who carried the tools of healing, the ship's surgeon. But aboard a pirate vessel, even the man responsible for saving lives had a very unusual story, because the next challenge waiting for you was not a battle against another ship, it was a battle against your own body.
The ocean has many enemies: storms, cannons, enemy ships. But the most terrifying enemy is the one you cannot see: disease. A cannonball can destroy a ship in seconds. A sword can end a life in a moment. But an infection can slowly take a man away while he is still breathing. On a pirate ship, where hundreds of men lived together in a small wooden world surrounded by salt wire, sickness was always waiting. And when sickness arrived, the crew turned to one man: the surgeon. You might imagine the ship's surgeon as a respected doctor, wearing a clean coat, carrying expensive instruments, and studying carefully written medical books. But the reality was very different. Medicine during the Golden Age of Piracy was still a dangerous and uncertain art. Many treatments that seem unbelievable today were considered normal. Doctors did not understand bacteria. They did not know about viruses. They had no antibiotics. They did not understand infection the way modern medicine does. They were fighting an invisible enemy with limited knowledge and primitive tools. Yet their work was still essential, because on a ship full of sailors, accidents were unavoidable. A pirate ship was a dangerous workplace. Every day brought the possibility of injury.
A sailor could be crushed while lifting heavy sails. A rope under tension could snap and strike a man with deadly force. A fall from the rigging could break bones. And during battle, the injuries became much worse. Cannons created destruction unlike anything else. A cannonball did not simply pass through a body. It shattered everything in its path. Wood exploded into deadly fragments. Metal tore through flesh. Bones were crushed beyond repair. When that happened, the surgeon had one terrible choice: save the man or lose him. The surgeon's most important tools were kept inside a special wooden chest. Often, these medical chests were captured from enemy ships. To pirates, they were valuable treasures. Inside were the instruments needed to perform surgery: sharp knives for cutting flesh, saws for cutting through bone, needles and thread for closing wounds, forceps for removing bullets, probes for searching deep inside injuries. These tools were simple, but in skilled hands, they could mean the difference between life and death. One of the most common major operations at sea was amputation. Today, losing a limb is a devastating medical event, but during the age of piracy, it was often the only option. If a leg or arm was crushed by a cannonball or badly damaged by a musket shot, there was little chance of saving it. The greatest danger was not the injury itself, it was infection. A wounded limb could become infected. The infection could spread through the entire body, and without treatment, death was almost certain. So the surgeon made a brutal decision. The damaged limb had to be removed. Imagine the scene. The wounded sailor is placed on a table below deck. The crew gathers, not because they want to watch, because they must help. The patient is given whatever pain relief is available, perhaps a strong drink of rum, perhaps laudanum, a powerful medicine made from opium. It could reduce pain, but it was dangerous. Too much could slow breathing and become deadly. The sailor is given something to bite down on, a piece of leather, a strip of cloth, anything to stop him from screaming or damaging his own mouth from the pain. Then the surgeon begins. There is no modern anesthesia, no sterile operating room, no advanced equipment, only speed, skill, and determination. The saw cuts through bone. The room fills with the sounds of suffering. The surgeon works as quickly as possible because every second matters. Bleeding must be controlled. The wound must be closed. The sailor must be kept alive. It is brutal. It is horrifying. But for many men, it was their only chance. A lost arm was better than a dead body. A wooden leg was better than a grave. Not every treatment was as successful. Some medicines of the time were more dangerous than helpful. Mercury, for example, was commonly used to treat certain diseases. People believed it could cure illnesses that we now know required completely different treatments. But mercury is toxic. Many patients suffered because of these outdated beliefs. The surgeon was doing the best he could with the knowledge available, but the world of medicine was still young. Battle wounds were not the only dangers. Everyday sickness could spread quickly. A crowded ship was the perfect environment for disease. Men slept close together. They shared food and water. The air below deck was often unhealthy. A simple illness could move through the crew within days. Fevers, dysentery, respiratory infections, all could weaken an entire ship. A pirate crew could survive a battle against another vessel and still be defeated by sickness afterwards. But there was something unique about pirate society. The wounded were not always abandoned. Remember the pirate articles? Remember the agreement every man accepted. The crew had a responsibility to its own. A pirate who lost an eye, an arm, or a leg while serving the ship was often compensated from the common funds. The Brotherhood protected its members. This was one of the reasons the pirate system attracted so many desperate sailors. The life was dangerous, but it offered something rare, a promise that if you sacrificed yourself for the crew would not forget you. Still, the smartest pirate knew one important truth. The best way to survive surgery was to avoid needing it. A good captain did not want unnecessary battles. A damaged ship meant lost time. A wounded crew meant fewer hands to operate the vessel. The greatest victory was often the one that happened without a fight. And to achieve that, a pirate ship needed something more than weapons. It needed knowledge. It needed someone who could read the ocean, someone who could guide the ship through endless waters, someone who could find land when nothing but waves surrounded them. The navigator. Because before a pirate could find treasure, he first had to find his way.
The ocean is the greatest wilderness on Earth. A forest has trees that mark the path. A mountain range gives you direction. A river tells you where you are going. But the open sea has none of these things. No roads, no signs, no landmarks. Only endless water stretching in every direction. To a person standing on the deck of a wooden ship, the horizon looks exactly the same every morning. And that creates a terrifying question. How do you find your way when there is nothing to guide you? Because on the ocean, a small mistake does not mean arriving late. A small mistake can mean never arriving at all. It can mean running out of food, running out of fresh water, drifting into unknown waters, or disappearing forever. For a pirate crew, navigation was not just a useful skill, it was survival. Many people imagine pirates as nothing more than fighters carrying swords and pistols, but the truth is that a successful pirate ship needed intelligent and skilled men. A strong arm could win a battle, but a sharp mind could find the battle. The man responsible for this crucial task was the navigator. On some ships, this role belonged to a specialized officer called the sailing master. On your ship, the captain himself takes this responsibility, because a captain who cannot find his way cannot lead anyone to fortune. The navigator's world was one of charts, instruments, calculations, and constant observation. His most valuable possession was not gold, it was knowledge. And that knowledge was often stored in nautical charts. These were not the colorful treasure maps from stories. There was no giant red X marking a chest of gold. Real navigation charts were serious documents. They showed coastlines, known islands, dangerous reefs, harbors, ocean currents. They were carefully created from the experiences of previous sailors, but they were far from perfect. The world was still only partially explored. Many coastlines were drawn incorrectly. Some islands appeared in the wrong locations. Some dangers were missing completely. A navigator trusted his chart, but he also knew when to question it. One of the most important tools aboard the ship was the magnetic compass. A simple device, a small needle floating freely and pointing toward magnetic north. To modern people, it may seem ordinary, but to sailors hundreds of years ago, it was almost magical. The compass allowed ships to maintain direction even when clouds covered the sky or storms blocked the sun and stars. But knowing direction was only half the challenge. A sailor also needed to know distance. How far had the ship traveled? How fast was it moving? For this, navigators used a clever device called the chip log. The chip log was a simple but brilliant invention. It consisted of a small wooden board attached to a long rope. The rope had knots tied at regular intervals. The wooden piece was thrown into the ocean behind the ship. As the ship moved forward, the rope pulled away from the sailors. The navigator measured how many knots passed during a specific amount of time. From this, he calculated the ship's speed. This is where the word knots comes from. Even today, sailors and pilots measure speed using knots. A method developed by sailors centuries ago is still used around the world. But speed and direction were still not enough. A navigator needed to know the ship's exact position.
especially its latitude, its position north or south of the equator. To discover latitude, sailors looked toward the heavens. Their sky was their map. During the day, they studied the sun. At night, they studied the stars. Using instruments such as the quadrant or astrolabe, they measured the angle of the sun above the horizon. The height of certain stars could also reveal their position. The North Star was especially important. For sailors in the Northern Hemisphere, it acted like a permanent guide. The higher it appeared in the sky, the farther north the ship was. The lower it appeared, the farther south they had traveled. The heavens were not just beautiful, they were a navigation system. But one mystery remained, the great problem of the age, longitude, finding your position east or west. This was much more difficult. A sailor could know his latitude, but still have no idea how far east or west he had traveled, and this mistake could be deadly. A ship searching for an island could sail hundreds of miles away from its destination without realizing it. For many years, there was no simple solution, no reliable instrument, no easy calculation, only experience and careful estimation. To solve this problem, sailors depended on a method called dead reckoning. It was some science, some mathematics, some educated guessing. The navigator started from a known location. For example, a pirate ship leaves Jamaica. The compass shows the ship is sailing east. The chip log shows the ship is traveling 5 knots. After 24 hours, the navigator calculates the distance traveled. In theory, the ship should now be 120 nautical miles east of Jamaica. But the ocean is never simple. A strong current may have pushed the ship south. A storm may have forced the ship off course. A mistake in speed calculation may have grown larger every day. The position on the chart and the actual position of the ship could become completely different. A great navigator did not depend only on instruments. He learned to read the ocean itself. The sea gave clues to those who knew how to listen. The color of the water could reveal shallow areas. Different birds could suggest nearby land. Cloud formations could reveal approaching storms. Ocean swells could show distant weather patterns. Even floating plants and pieces of wood could provide information about nearby islands. The navigator was not simply measuring the ocean, he was interpreting it. Life on a pirate ship depended on this knowledge. A wrong calculation could send the crew into unknown waters. A missed island meant hunger. A wrong route could mean never finding a safe harbor. The navigator carried the hopes of every man aboard. Every sailor sleeping below deck, every pirate dreaming of treasure, every man hoping to return home alive. Now you understand something important. A pirate ship was not powered only by cannons and swords, it was powered by knowledge. The carpenter kept the ship alive, the surgeon kept the crew alive, the quartermaster kept order, but the navigator gave everyone a future. Because without him, the greatest pirate ship in the world was nothing more than a piece of wood drifting endlessly across the sea. As you stand at the edge of the deck and watch the endless horizon, you realize the ocean is not empty. It is filled with hidden paths, currents, winds, stars, secrets. And somewhere beyond that horizon is your next opportunity. A merchant ship carrying valuable cargo, a fortune waiting to be claimed. But first, you must find it. And soon, from high above the deck, a voice will break the silence. A voice every pirate hopes to hear. A voice announcing that adventure is near. Sail ho!
The ocean has been quiet for days. The wind has carried your ship across endless blue water. The crew has worked. The sails have been adjusted. The decks have been repaired. The horizon has been watched constantly. Every man knows the truth of life at sea. Most of the time, piracy is not excitement. It is waiting. Waiting for a storm. Waiting for supplies. Waiting for news.
waiting for the one moment that could change everything. Because somewhere beyond that endless horizon is the reason you accepted this dangerous life. A prize, a merchant ship, a chance at fortune. The morning begins like any other. The sun rises over the ocean. The waves move gently beneath the ship. The crew goes through its daily routine. Then, suddenly, a shout comes from above. A sailor standing high in the crow's nest freezes. His eyes narrow as he looks into the distance. Then his voice cuts through the air. "Sail ho!" Every man on deck stops. The words you have been waiting for have finally arrived. A ship has been spotted. The captain immediately raises his spyglass. Every eye turns toward the horizon. At first, the ship is only a small shape, a dark mark against the endless blue. But slowly, it becomes clearer. A merchant vessel, heavy with cargo, sitting low in the water, exactly the kind of target pirates search for. A ship carrying valuable goods, a ship that could change your fortune. But the hunt does not begin with cannons. It begins with deception. A pirate's greatest weapon is not always violence. Sometimes it is patience. Sometimes it is a lie. Before revealing who you truly are, you want to get close, very close. Close enough that escape becomes impossible. Your ship raises a different flag, perhaps the flag of England, perhaps another nation's colors, perhaps no flag at all. This is deception at sea. The merchant crew looks at you and sees nothing unusual, just another vessel traveling across the ocean. They do not know what is hiding beneath the surface. They do not know that the ship approaching them is carrying men who live outside the laws of kings. This was one of the greatest advantages pirates possessed. Fear worked best when it arrived suddenly. A merchant captain who saw a pirate ship from a distance had time to prepare. He could run, he could fight, he could hide his valuables. But a captain who realized the truth too late had very few options. The closer you got before revealing yourself, the stronger your position became. As your ship closes the distance, the moment arrives. The disguise is no longer useful. The merchant vessel is within range. It cannot escape. The captain gives the order. The false flag falls. For a brief moment, your mast stands empty, silent. The other crew watches. Confusion spreads across their deck. Who are these men? What are they? Then another flag rises, slowly, deliberately, a symbol that every sailor understands: the Jolly Roger. The world remembers the Jolly Roger as one specific flag, a black background, a skull, crossbones, a terrifying image. But the truth is more complicated. The Jolly Roger was not one single design. Different pirate captains used different symbols. Each captain created a message, a personal warning, a reputation, a weapon made from fear. The black flag itself carried a powerful meaning. To sailors of the time, black represented death. It was a message: we are not ordinary sailors. We do not follow your laws. We stand outside your world. The flag was a psychological attack before the battle even began. Because pirates understood something important. The easiest battle to win is the battle you never have to fight. A frightened enemy crew was more valuable than a destroyed enemy ship. A battle damaged the prize. It damaged your own ship. It wounded your men. It wasted ammunition. A smart pirate wanted surrender, not destruction. The Jolly Roger was designed to convince enemies that resistance was hopeless. But some flags carried an even stronger message. A red pirate flag was considered a symbol of no mercy. It represented complete violence, a warning that surrender might not save you. Whether every pirate used these meanings consistently is uncertain, but the reputation itself mattered. Fear does not need to be completely true. It only needs to be believed. The symbols on pirate flags also created legends. The skull and crossbones, the skeleton, the hourglass, the bleeding heart. Each image told a story. A skeleton holding an hourglass sent one message: your time is running out. A skull announced death is near. The flag became a pirate captain's identity, a name people remembered, a story sailors repeated in every port. Famous pirates understood the power of reputation. A feared captain could capture ships without firing a shot. The enemy surrendered because they had already lost the battle in their mind. The Jolly Roger was not just cloth waving in the wind. It was a message, a promise, a threat. You watch as your flag rises above the mast. The wind catches it. The black symbol spreads across the sky. On the merchant ship, men stare silently. They know now. They understand who you are. The moment they feared has arrived. They have a choice: fight or surrender. The merchant captain chooses pride. A cannon flashes from his deck. A cloud of smoke rises. The shot falls harmlessly into the ocean, a final act of defiance. Your captain does not hesitate. The chase is over. The negotiation has ended. Now comes the part every pirate knows. The moment when the ship transforms from a vessel into a weapon. The cannons are loaded. The crew takes position. The helmsman prepares the maneuver, and the captain gives the command. Prepare for battle. The ocean that was silent moments ago is about to become a battlefield. Wood will break, cannons will roar, smoke will cover the sky, and two ships will fight for one thing: survival.
The ocean changes in an instant. A moment ago, it was calm. The waves moved gently beneath your ship. The wind carried the sound of ropes and sails. Now, the entire vessel feels alive. Every man knows his place. Every hand has a purpose. Every mistake could mean death. Because when two ships meet in battle, there is no room for hesitation. The sea has become a battlefield. The captain stands at the center of the chaos. This is the moment when his authority becomes absolute. During peaceful days, a captain leads. During battle, a captain commands. Every decision matters. A wrong movement could expose the ship. A bad angle could destroy the crew. A delay could allow the enemy to escape. The entire ship becomes one machine, and the captain is the mind controlling it. The first goal is not always to sink the enemy. A destroyed ship is often worthless. The greatest prize is a captured ship. A ship still carrying its cargo. A ship that can be repaired. A ship that can become part of your own strength. Pirates are not simply attackers. They are businessmen of violence. The smartest victory is the one that leaves the most wealth behind. Your helmsman grips the wheel. His eyes are focused. His hands move quickly. The ship turns through the waves. The goal is a dangerous but powerful maneuver: to place your vessel in the perfect position. A position where your cannons can strike the enemy while limiting their ability to respond. The most devastating attack at sea is the broadside. Your ship turns so that an entire line of cannons faces the enemy. Dozens of weapons are ready at once. For a few seconds, everything depends on timing. The gun crews wait. They have practiced this moment many times. Loading, aiming, preparing, waiting. The cannons are not simple weapons. Each one is a dangerous machine requiring teamwork. A crew must move quickly. The cannon is loaded with gunpowder. A projectile is placed inside. The weapon is positioned. The fuse is prepared. Then comes the command: fire. The sound is impossible to describe. A cannon blast is not just something you hear. It is something you feel. The entire ship shakes. The wooden deck vibrates beneath your feet. Smoke explodes across the battlefield. For a moment, the world disappears into a cloud of black powder. The air fills with the smell of sulfur. Your ears ring, your vision fades, and through the smoke, you wait to see what damage has been done. Pirates did not always use cannon fire to destroy. Often, they used special ammunition designed to disable, because a helpless ship was easier to capture than a sinking one. One type was chain shot.
Two smaller cannonballs connected by a heavy chain. When fired, the spinning metal could tear through sails and rigging. It could destroy the enemy's ability to move. A ship without working sails was trapped. A ship without movement was vulnerable. Another weapon was grape shot. Instead of one large projectile, it contained many smaller pieces of metal. When fired, it spread across the enemy deck like a massive shotgun. Its purpose was not to damage the ship. Its purpose was to damage the men controlling it, to break their ability to fight. The battle becomes a storm of noise. Cannons roar, wood cracks, men shout orders. Smoke covers everything. The merchant crew fights desperately, but they are not facing ordinary attackers. They are facing men who have trained for this exact moment. Men who have chosen a life where violence is their profession. Slowly, the advantage shifts. The merchant ship's sails are damaged, its movement slows, its crew becomes exhausted. The pirate captain sees the opening. The moment has arrived. The order is given. Move in. The two ships come closer, closer, until the space between them disappears. The wooden hulls crash together. A terrible sound fills the air. Timber against timber. The ships grind against each other. Now, the battle changes. The cannons become less important. The fight moves from distance to close combat. The crew prepares the boarding attack. Heavy iron hooks attached to ropes are thrown across the gap. They strike the enemy railing. They hold. The pirates pull. The two ships become connected. A bridge has been created. There is no escape now. Above the deck, some men climb into the rigging. These are the sharpshooters. From their high position, they look down upon the enemy ship. Their goal is not random destruction. They target important figures, officers, leaders, anyone who can organize resistance. Removing leadership can end a battle quickly. Then comes the command every pirate knows, the moment of no return. Boarders away! You move forward with the rest of the crew, a pistol in one hand, a sword in the other. You know the pistol is powerful, but limited. One shot. Then it becomes little more than a heavy club. The sword becomes the true weapon. Close combat decides the outcome. Boarding a ship is not like the elegant sword fights shown in stories. It is not graceful. It is not clean. It is confusion, noise, fear. Men pushing against each other on a narrow wooden deck. Smoke, blood, screams. The battle is close and personal. But most pirate attacks do not last long. The goal was never to fight until every enemy was dead. The goal was victory. The merchant crew looks around. They see the numbers against them. They see experienced fighters moving across their deck. They see the black flag above them. And many realize the truth. Continuing the fight will only bring unnecessary death. Slowly, weapons begin to fall. One man drops his sword. Another raises his hands. The merchant captain understands the situation. The battle is over. The ship belongs to you. Silence returns. But it is not the same silence as before. The ocean is calm again, yet the deck tells the story of what happened. Broken wood, smoke, wounded men, the smell of gunpowder. The reality of piracy is standing before you. The prize has been won, but the work is not finished. Because capturing a ship is only the beginning. Now comes the part that determines whether the victory becomes fortune or disaster. The taking of the prize, the counting of the treasure, and the strict rules that decide who receives what.
The ocean can change in a single moment. 1 second, the sea is calm. The waves move gently beneath your ship. The wind carries the sound of ropes tightening and sails pulling against the air. The crew moves through another ordinary day at sea. Then comes the cry from above, "Sail ahead!" Everything changes. The relaxed movement of the ship disappears. The deck suddenly becomes a place of absolute focus. Every man knows his position. Every hand has a purpose. Every mistake could cost a life. Because when two ships meet on the open ocean, there is no room for hesitation. The sea itself becomes a battlefield, and at the center of that battlefield stands the captain. During peaceful days, the captain is a leader, but during combat, he becomes something more. He becomes the mind of a living weapon. Every order matters. A wrong decision could expose the entire ship. A poor maneuver could leave the crew helpless. A moment of hesitation could allow the enemy to escape. The ship is no longer just wood, rope, and sail. It becomes a single machine, and the captain controls every movement. But remember, pirates do not fight simply for destruction. They fight for profit. A sunken ship gives them almost nothing. A destroyed vessel means lost cargo, wasted ammunition, and unnecessary danger. The greatest victory is not killing the enemy. The greatest victory is capturing the prize. A ship still carrying valuable goods, a ship that can be repaired, a ship that can strengthen your own fleet. Piracy is not random violence. It is a dangerous business, and the smartest pirate victory is the one that creates the most wealth with the least damage. Your helmsman grips the wheel tightly. His eyes remain fixed ahead. The waves rise and fall beneath the ship as he guides the vessel into position. The goal is not to charge blindly. The goal is precision. A pirate captain wants the perfect angle, a position where his cannons can strike the enemy while reducing the enemy's ability to fight back. The most powerful attack at sea is the broadside. Your ship turns. The entire side of the vessel faces the enemy. Along the deck, rows of cannons wait. The gun crews prepare. They have practiced this moment again and again. Load, aim, prepare, wait. A cannon is not a simple weapon. It requires teamwork. One man prepares the gunpowder, another loads the shot, another positions the cannon, another prepares the fuse. Every movement must happen quickly. Every second matters. Then comes the command. Fire! The world explodes. The sound is not just something you hear, it is something you feel. The entire ship shakes beneath your feet. The wooden deck trembles. The force of the cannon blast travels through your body. A cloud of thick black smoke covers the battlefield. The smell of sulfur fills the air. For a moment, you cannot see, you cannot think, you can only hear the thunder of war. Then, slowly, the smoke begins to clear. You look toward the enemy ship, and you see the damage. But pirates understood something important. The purpose of cannon fire was not always to destroy. A sinking ship was a lost opportunity. Instead, pirates often used weapons designed to disable. One of these weapons was chain shot, two smaller cannonballs connected by a heavy metal chain. When fired, the spinning chain could tear through sails, ropes, and masts. It could destroy the enemy's ability to move. A ship without sails was trapped. A trapped ship was easier to capture. Another weapon was grape shot. Instead of one large cannonball, grape shot contained dozens of smaller metal pieces. When fired, it spread across the enemy deck like a giant shotgun. Its purpose was not to destroy the ship. Its purpose was to destroy the crew's ability to fight. The battlefield becomes chaos. Cannons roar, wood splinters, men shout commands, smoke covers everything. The merchant sailors fight desperately, but they are facing men who have trained for this exact moment, men who have chosen a life where combat is part of survival. Slowly, the balance begins to change. The merchant ship's sails are damaged, its movement slows, its crew becomes exhausted. The pirate captain sees the weakness. The moment has arrived. The order comes. Prepare to board. The two ships move closer. closer until there is almost no distance between them. Then the wooden hulls crash together. A terrible sound fills the air, wood against wood, ships grinding against each other. The battle changes. The cannons become less important. Now the fight becomes personal, close combat. The boarding crew prepares. Heavy iron hooks attached to ropes are thrown across the gap. They strike the enemy railing. They hold. The pirates pull with all their strength. The two ships become connected. A bridge has been created. There is no escape now. Above the deck, some pirates climb into the rigging. These are the sharpshooters. From their high position, they look down onto the enemy ship. Their targets are not random. They look for officers, commanders, anyone who can organize resistance. A battle becomes easier to win when the enemy loses its leadership. Then comes the final command, the command every pirate knows. Boarders away! You move with the crew, a pistol in one hand, a sword in the other. The pistol is powerful, but it has one weakness, one shot. After that, it becomes little more than a heavy club. The sword becomes your true weapon. You jump across onto the enemy deck, and suddenly the world becomes noise. There is no elegance, no graceful sword fighting like the stories tell. Real boarding combat is confusion, fear, sweat, smoke, men fighting for survival on a narrow wooden deck. The battle is close, brutal, personal. But most pirate attacks do not last long. The goal was never to fight until everyone was dead. The goal was victory. The merchant sailors look around. They see the numbers. They see experienced fighters surrounding them. They see the black flag flying above their ship, and they understand the truth. Continuing the fight means unnecessary death. Slowly, weapons begin to fall. One sailor drops his sword. Another raises his hands. The merchant captain has no choice. The ship is lost. The battle is over. Silence returns. But it is not the same silence as before. The ocean is calm again, yet the deck tells the story. Broken wood, damaged sails, smoke drifting through the air, wounded men lying where they fought. The smell of gunpowder remains. This is the reality of piracy. Not treasure maps, not adventure stories. A dangerous life where every victory comes with a price. But the battle itself was only the beginning, because capturing a ship does not mean the work is finished. Now comes the most important part, the moment that decides whether this victory becomes a fortune or a disaster. The taking of the prize, the searching of the cargo, the counting of the wealth, and the strict pirate rules that decide how every man receives his share. The battle is over. The enemy ship has surrendered. The cannons have gone silent. The smoke slowly disappears into the ocean wind. For a moment, you stand on the captured deck and look around. The victory feels complete, but the truth is, the most important part of piracy has only just begun. Because capturing a ship is not the same as becoming rich. A pirate crew does not simply rush into the cargo hold and grab whatever they can carry. That is not how a successful pirate company operates. Behind the violence, behind the black flag and the reputation of fear, there is something that surprises many people. A system, a set of rules, a code. The pirates call them the Articles. Before a man ever joins a pirate crew, he agrees to these rules. He signs his name, or if he cannot write, he marks the document with a simple symbol. Once he agrees, he becomes part of the Brotherhood. And one of the most important rules is this: the prize belongs to everyone, not just the captain, not just the strongest fighters, not just the men who boarded first. The entire crew shares in the reward. This is what separates pirate society from the normal ships of the world. On merchant vessels, sailors often had little power. The captain controlled almost everything. The crew worked for low wages. They could be beaten. They could be punished. They had almost no voice. But on a pirate ship, things were different. The crew had a say. They helped choose their captain. They could remove a captain who failed to lead properly. They voted on important decisions. The ship was not a democracy like a modern nation, but compared to ordinary ships of the 1700s, it was remarkably equal. And nothing showed this more clearly than the division of treasure. After the captured ship was secured, the quartermaster took control. The quartermaster was one of the most important people on board. The captain commanded the ship during battle, but the quartermaster protected the interests of the crew. He was responsible for supplies, discipline, and, most importantly, the division of the prize. The first step was the inventory. Every valuable item was collected and recorded. The pirates searched the cargo hold. They opened barrels. They inspected boxes. They examined everything the enemy ship carried. The treasure was often not what legends describe. They were rarely mountains of gold coins waiting inside a hidden chest. The real wealth of piracy was usually ordinary cargo that could be sold for a fortune. Barrels of sugar from the Caribbean, tobacco from the Americas, precious dyes, spices, silk, cotton, wine, weapons, tools. Anything that could be traded had value. Even the captured ship itself could be worth more than the cargo. A strong vessel meant more power. More cannons meant more protection. Extra sails, rope, anchors, and supplies were priceless at sea. A pirate ship survived because every resource mattered. Nothing useful was wasted. But the pirates did not divide the treasure immediately. First came a responsibility that revealed the unusual nature of their society. The wounded were paid. A pirate's body was his most valuable possession. His strength was his ability to earn. So the articles included compensation for injuries. Lose an eye, receive payment. Lose a hand, receive payment. Lose a leg, receive payment. These payments were not acts of kindness. They were part of the agreement. Every pirate knew the danger, and every pirate knew that if disaster struck, his brothers would not simply abandon him. A wounded man still belonged to the crew. This created loyalty. It created trust. A sailor who knew he would be cared for was more willing to fight beside his crewmates. After the injured were compensated, the remaining treasure could finally be divided, and the division was carefully controlled. There was no secret meeting, no captain hiding extra gold, no private deals. Everyone watched. Everyone knew what everyone else received. Transparency was essential because a pirate crew depended on trust. If men believed the captain or officers were stealing from them, the entire ship could collapse. The captain usually received the largest share, but not an unlimited amount. Often the captain received around 2 shares, the quartermaster might receive 1.5 shares. Experienced officers received more. Ordinary crew members usually received 1 full share. Everyone knew the system before joining. Everyone knew what they could expect, and everyone knew the punishment for breaking the rules. A pirate who secretly stole from the common treasure was committing one of the worst crimes possible. Stealing from an enemy was the reason they existed. Stealing from your own brothers was betrayal, and betrayal could lead to severe punishment. Because the pirate code was not built on kindness, it was built on survival. A crew of criminals living on a dangerous ocean could only survive if they trusted each other. Without trust, there was only chaos, and chaos meant death. When the division finally came, each man stepped forward. One by one, the quartermaster called their names. One by one, they received their share. And then your turn arrives. You step forward. The quartermaster places the coins into your hands. The weight surprises you. Silver and gold, real wealth, more money than you could have earned after years of hard labor on a merchant ship. You look down at your share. This is why men risk everything. This is why they leave ordinary life behind. Not because the sea is easy, not because the work is comfortable, but because for a brief moment, a common sailor can become rich. A man with nothing can become independent. A forgotten worker can become someone with power. The pirate life offered something rare, freedom. But freedom always had a price. Every coin in your hand came from danger, from battles, from storms, from sleepless nights watching the horizon, and from knowing that one day the sea might take everything away.
because a pirate's fortune was never guaranteed. The same ocean that created wealth could also create disaster. The same ship that carried treasure could become a floating grave, and the same black flag that brought fear to others could eventually bring the attention of those powerful enough to destroy you. But for now, the prize has been divided. The crew is satisfied, the ship is loaded with supplies, and the next destination awaits, a pirate haven, a place where sailors spend their fortune, a place where the strict discipline of the ship disappears, a place where the legend truly begins. The pirate's paradise.
The treasure has been divided. Your heavy canvas pouch hangs from your belt, filled with silver coins that clink softly with every step. It is more money than you have ever possessed in your life. For weeks, perhaps months, you have lived under strict discipline. You stood watch through freezing nights. You repaired sails beneath a burning sun. You survived storms, battles, hunger, and the constant threat of death. Now, for the first time since leaving port, the work is finished. The captain gives a single order: shore leave. A cheer erupts across the deck. The crew lowers the longboats into the water. One by one, you climb aboard. The oars dip into the sea as the ship slowly fades behind you. Ahead lies a place every pirate dreams about during the long months at sea: a pirate haven. Perhaps Nassau in the Bahamas, perhaps another hidden port beyond the reach of kings and governors. Whatever its name, every pirate knows what it represents: freedom. As your boots touch solid ground, the feeling is almost strange. After so many weeks on a rolling deck, the earth itself seems to move beneath your feet. You steady yourself and look around. This is nothing like the clean colonial towns controlled by European governments. There are no polished streets, no orderly rows of buildings, no soldiers marching in formation. Instead, the harbor is alive with disorder. Wooden taverns lean at odd angles, canvas tents crowd the shoreline, small huts have been built wherever space could be found. Ships from every corner of the Atlantic fill the harbor. Merchant vessels, privateers, fishing boats, pirate sloops flying no flag at all. Every language seems to echo through the streets: English, French, Spanish, Dutch, African dialects. The accents blend into one endless roar of voices. The air itself feels heavy. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The smell of roasted pork mixes with tobacco smoke. Fresh bread competes with the sharp scent of tar and seawater. Somewhere nearby, someone is already singing. Someone else is laughing. Someone is shouting over a gambling table. Life spills into every corner of the settlement. There are no police patrols, no royal judges, no governors demanding obedience. Only opportunity and temptation. Your hand rests on the pouch of silver at your side. It feels heavy now, but every experienced pirate knows one truth: money never stays heavy for long. You follow your shipmates toward the busiest building in town, the tavern. Every pirate port has one, and every pirate eventually ends up inside. The moment you open the door, a wave of heat and noise crashes over you. The room is overflowing with sailors. Tankards slam against rough wooden tables, dice roll across scarred barrels, cards slap against worn tabletops. The smell of spilled rum hangs permanently in the air. The bartender barely looks at you. He has seen hundreds of pirates before. You toss a silver coin onto the counter. In return, he slides a bottle towards you. Not the watered-down grog served aboard ship. This is real Caribbean rum. Strong, harsh, unforgiving. The first swallow burns your throat. The second burns less. By the third, the worries of the sea begin to fade. Around you, the celebration grows louder. Some men sing old sea ballads. Others argue over card games. A group of sailors crowds around a pair of gamblers throwing carved bone dice across a barrel lid. Coins change hands with astonishing speed. One pirate wins a small fortune. Minutes later, he loses nearly all of it. Yet he laughs, orders another drink, and rolls the dice again. At first, the behavior seems reckless, but soon you understand. Pirates do not think like merchants. A merchant saves for tomorrow. A pirate is never certain tomorrow will come.
Every voyage could be his last. Every battle could end with a cannonball. Every encounter with the Royal Navy could end at the gallows. When death is always nearby, saving for old age becomes difficult to imagine. So, pirates spend. They eat until they cannot eat another bite. They drink until morning. They gamble because their entire lives have already been one enormous gamble. You spend your own silver as well. You buy fresh bread still warm from the oven, roasted pork seasoned with spices you have not tasted in months, fresh tropical fruit that almost make you forget the endless diet of salted meat aboard ship. You visit a tailor. For the first time in months, you replace your faded, salt-stained clothes with a clean linen shirt. You purchase sturdy leather boots, a new belt, perhaps even a wide-brimmed hat. You visit the gunsmith. Your old pistol has served you well, but a better one might save your life during the next boarding action. You purchase fresh powder, lead shot, a sharpened cutlass. Unlike fine clothing or expensive rum, these purchases are investments, the tools that may help you survive long enough to earn another fortune. For several days, life becomes a blur. Drinking, eating, laughing, gambling, sleeping whenever exhaustion finally overtakes you. The careful discipline of life aboard ship disappears completely. Every pirate follows only his own desires. The settlement never truly sleeps. Music drifts from every tavern, arguments begin and end, fistfights break out almost nightly. By morning, many of the same men are drinking together again as though nothing happened. This strange mixture of violence and friendship defines pirate life on shore just as much as it does at sea. Then, one quiet morning, you reach into your pocket. Your fingers touch nothing. The silver is gone. Every coin, the fortune that once seemed endless, has disappeared. It has become meals, rum, games of chance, new weapons, fresh clothes, a handful of unforgettable nights. Nothing more. You are not alone. Nearly every member of the crew stands in the same position, pockets empty, heads aching, money spent, and somehow, no regrets. Then comes a familiar voice, the quartermaster. He walks through the harbor calling for the crew. The ship is ready. Repairs have been completed, fresh water has been loaded aboard, food has been stocked, the sails have been mended, the gunpowder has been replaced. Another voyage awaits. One by one, the pirates leave the taverns behind. The music grows quieter as you walk back towards the beach. You climb once again into the longboat. The harbor slowly disappears behind you. Soon, the familiar silhouette of your ship rises above the water. You climb aboard. The deck feels strangely familiar. The chaos of shore life fades away. The strict order of life at sea returns. The captain resumes command. The watches are assigned. The sails are raised. The anchor comes up. The wind catches the canvas, and once again the open ocean stretches endlessly before you. Your pockets may be empty, but your experience has grown richer. Now you understand the strange rhythm of a pirate's life. Months of discipline, days of absolute freedom. Hard work followed by reckless celebration. Fortune earned, fortune lost. Then back to sea to begin the cycle all over again. Because for a pirate, the next horizon always promises another prize and another chance to start over.
The harbor disappears behind you. Within a few hours, land is nothing more than a faint line on the horizon. By sunset, even that has vanished. Once again, there is only the sea. The endless blue stretches in every direction. Above you, the sails snap in the wind. Below you, the ship rises and falls with the steady rhythm of the waves. The excitement of shore leave is over. The discipline of life at sea has returned. The watches are assigned, the sails are trimmed, the deck is scrubbed, repairs are made, meals are served. Each day begins to look exactly like the one before it. For a new pirate, this can be the hardest part of the journey. People often imagine piracy as a life filled with constant battles and hidden treasure. The truth is far quieter. Most days are spent waiting for favorable winds, waiting for another ship to appear, waiting for news, waiting for something, anything to happen. Sometimes an entire week passes without another vessel crossing your path.
The ocean becomes a world of endless repetition, and in that silence, boredom becomes another enemy. A bored crew is a dangerous crew. Restless minds create arguments. Arguments become fights. Fights weaken the brotherhood. Experienced captains understand this. Keeping morale high is almost as important as keeping the sails in good repair. That is why music holds such an important place aboard a pirate ship. Among the crew is a man unlike the others. He carries no hammer, no saw, no navigation tools. Instead, he carries a fiddle. The ship's fiddler may not climb the rigging or haul heavy ropes as often as the others, yet he receives a full share of every prize. His talent is considered just as valuable because music keeps men together. As evening settles over the sea and the day's work comes to an end, the fiddler takes his place near the bow. He tightens the strings, raises the bow, then begins to play. The first notes drift gently across the deck. The melody is slow, melancholy, beautiful. The music carries across the dark water, disappearing into the endless night. For a few precious moments, the hardships of piracy fade away. The men stop working. Some sit quietly against coils of rope. Others close their eyes. Some simply stare towards the stars overhead. The music reminds each man that he is still human, that somewhere beyond the horizon lies another world, a world of families, of quiet villages, of lives left behind. Not every song is meant for listening. Some songs have a much more practical purpose. These are the sea shanties. A sea shanty is not entertainment, it is a tool. Whenever the crew must perform difficult work together, rhythm becomes essential. Raising the anchor, hoisting a massive sail, turning the heavy capstone. Each task requires dozens of men pulling as one. One sailor becomes the shantyman. He sings the first line alone. The rest of the crew answers with the chorus. Every final word marks the moment to pull. The rhythm keeps everyone moving together. Without it, the work becomes slower, harder, far less efficient. The song transforms many separate men into one united force. The sea itself seems to move with their voices. Later, after darkness has fully settled, another kind of music begins. These are the old ballads, long narrative songs passed from sailor to sailor across generations. They tell stories of famous naval battles, of distant ports, of lost loves waiting at home, of legendary captains, of terrible storms survived against impossible odds. Many pirates cannot read, books are rare aboard ship, but stories need no paper. Every song becomes a living history lesson. Every verse preserves another memory. When the singing finally ends, conversation takes its place. Small groups gather beneath the stars. Someone produces a worn deck of cards. Another takes out a pair of dice carved from old pieces of bone. Gambling begins. Sometimes the wagers are small, a bottle of rum, tomorrow's dessert, a better sleeping place below deck. Other times, the stakes become much higher. A pirate might wager part of his next share of treasure, even his own clothing. Fortunes can change in a single throw of the dice. The ship's articles allow gambling, but they forbid cheating. A dishonest gambler threatens the trust that holds the crew together. If accusations arise, the quartermaster steps in immediately. His judgment is final. Fairness matters more than friendship, because without trust, the brotherhood cannot survive. Yet perhaps the greatest form of entertainment aboard a pirate ship requires nothing at all. No instrument, no cards, no dice, only a voice, storytelling. As the night watch quietly scan the dark horizon, stories begin to flow. Some are true, most are not. A sailor claims he once escaped a hurricane by sailing through the eye of the storm. Another insists he saw a whale larger than any ship afloat. Someone tells of a mysterious island where abandoned Spanish gold still waits beneath the sand. The younger sailors listen with wide eyes. The older ones smile. They have heard many of these tales before, yet they never grow tired of them. Other stories are darker. Whispers of ghost ships drifting silently through the fog, the legendary Flying Dutchman, forever cursed to sail without reaching port. Phantom lights dancing across black water, voices carried on the wind when no other ship is near. Whether anyone truly believes these stories hardly matters. They pass the time, they give shape to the endless nights. Most valuable of all are the stories that carry real information. News from distant ports, rumors about merchant fleets preparing to sail, warnings of Royal Navy patrols, word that a governor has offered new pardons, or that another famous pirate has been captured. Information travels across the sea through conversation long before it appears in any official report. Every sailor becomes both storyteller and messenger. It is during these quiet nights that legends are born. One man exaggerates a battle, another improves the story before repeating it in the next port. Within a year, an ordinary boarding action becomes an impossible victory. Within 10 years, the pirate who fought it becomes a legend. Truth slowly blends with imagination. No one notices where one ends and the other begins. As you listen to another incredible tale, you begin to wonder, how many of the famous pirate stories are actually true? Did pirates really bury enormous treasure chests on deserted islands? Did they force prisoners to walk the plank? Did every captain keep a colorful parrot on their shoulder? The more time you spend living among pirates, the more these famous stories begin to feel different from reality. You have fought beside these men, you have shared their food, you have followed their rules, and you have never seen any of those famous legends with your own eyes. Perhaps the greatest pirate stories are not history at all. Perhaps they are simply stories. And in the next chapter, you will discover how some of the world's most famous pirate legends were created and why most of them were never true.
The sea has a way of creating legends. A single battle becomes a dozen. One lucky escape becomes an impossible miracle. A captain's reputation grows larger every time his story is told in another port. Long before newspapers carried reliable news across the oceans, stories traveled by word of mouth. Every sailor became a storyteller. Every tavern became a stage. Every audience wanted a tale more exciting than the last. That is how myths are born. The longer you sail with pirates, the more you begin to notice something surprising. The stories people tell on land rarely match the life you actually live at sea. The real world is harsher, more practical, far less romantic, yet somehow far more fascinating. Among all the legends surrounding pirates, 3 have become famous across the world: buried treasure, walking the plank, and the parrot perched on a pirate's shoulder. You have heard these stories countless times. Now it is time to discover the truth. The myth of buried treasure. Perhaps no pirate legend is more famous than the image of a weathered treasure chest buried beneath the sand of a deserted island. A secret map, an enormous red X, a fortune waiting to be discovered. It is one of the most recognizable images in popular culture, but in reality, almost no pirates actually buried their treasure. The reason is surprisingly simple. Pirates rarely planned for the future. Their entire philosophy centered on one belief: a short life, but a merry one. Every voyage might be their last. Every battle might end in death. Saving wealth for old age made little sense when few expected to grow old. Whenever a crew reached a friendly port, they spent their money almost immediately on food, rum, weapons, clothing, gambling, entertainment. The treasure existed to be enjoyed, not hidden. There was another reason as well. Pirate wealth did not belong to one man, it belonged to the company. Every prize was divided according to the articles. A captain who secretly buried part of the crew's treasure would be stealing from his own brothers. Such betrayal could easily cost him his command or his life. Trust held the pirate brotherhood together. Without trust, there could be no pirate crew. So where did the legend come from? Mostly from one extraordinary exception: Captain William Kidd. Originally a respected privateer, Kidd later found himself accused of piracy. Knowing the authorities were searching for him, he secretly buried part of his wealth before attempting a negotiated pardon.
he was captured anyway. The hidden treasure was eventually recovered, yet the story spread across the Atlantic. Over time, one unusual event became a universal legend. More than a century later, that single story inspired one of history's greatest adventure novels, Treasure Island. From that moment forward, buried treasure became forever linked with pirates, even though it was almost never part of their everyday lives. The myth of walking the plank. Another famous image appears in countless books and films. A captured sailor stands at the end of a narrow wooden plank extending over the sea. Below him, hungry sharks circle the water. Behind him, pirates point their swords. Step forward or die. It is one of the most dramatic scenes ever associated with piracy. There is only one problem: it almost never happened. Historians have found very little reliable evidence that walking the plank was a common pirate punishment during the Golden Age of Piracy. In fact, pirates usually preferred methods that were much faster. If they intended to kill someone, they could simply use a sword or a pistol, or throw the prisoner overboard. Forcing someone to balance across a plank took time. It served no practical purpose. Pirates were many things: cruel, violent, dangerous, but they were also efficient. Walking the plank became popular much later through novels, stage plays, and eventually Hollywood films. It was dramatic, memorable, perfect entertainment, but it was never an everyday reality aboard pirate ships. The myth of the pirate's parrot. Imagine a pirate. What do you see? A colorful parrot perched proudly upon his shoulder. The bird squawks loudly as the pirate laughs. Today, that image seems almost inseparable from piracy itself. Yet real pirates rarely traveled with parrots. It certainly happened from time to time. Ships sailing through the Caribbean and South America often encountered exotic birds. A sailor might purchase one, or capture one, or simply keep one as an unusual pet. But it was hardly practical. A noisy bird could ruin a surprise attack. Its constant screeching would quickly reveal a ship trying to approach another vessel unnoticed. Space aboard ship was already limited. Food and fresh water were precious. Keeping exotic animals made little sense. So why does everyone imagine pirates with parrots? Once again, literature changed history. Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island introduced readers to Long John Silver. His loyal parrot, Captain Flint, became one of the most unforgettable characters in the novel. The image captured the imagination of generations. Soon, every fictional pirate seemed to own a talking bird. Hollywood embraced the idea, and the myth became stronger than history itself. Why the myths survived. As you sit beneath the stars, listening to another sailor exaggerate his latest adventure, you finally understand something important. People do not always remember history. They remember stories. The truth is often complicated. Stories are simple. The real pirate lived a difficult life. Months at sea, hard labor, rotting food, disease, storms, violence, constant danger. The legendary pirate lived a far more exciting life. He searched for buried treasure, carried a talking parrot, forced enemies to walk the plank. The legend was simply more entertaining, and over time, the legend replaced reality. Yet strangely, the real story may be even more remarkable. Pirates were not fearless adventurers chasing hidden gold. They were ordinary sailors who built one of history's most unusual societies. They elected many of their leaders, shared their wealth, protected injured crew members, and challenged the greatest empires on Earth. That truth needs no embellishment. It is extraordinary enough. But as the days pass, another kind of story begins to spread from port to port. This one is not a myth, it's a warning. Governors are offering pardons, warships are leaving England, pirate hunters are sailing into the Caribbean. The world is changing, and the Golden Age of Piracy is beginning to draw to its final chapter.
For years, the pirate world had survived because the great empires of Europe were too busy fighting one another. England fought France. France fought Spain. Spain fought nearly everyone. Their powerful navies were scattered across the world, protecting colonies, escorting merchant fleets, and fighting enormous battles. While the empires looked toward one another, pirates found room to grow. The Caribbean became their refuge. Hidden coves became safe harbors. Places like Nassau became centers of a strange new society, a pirate republic, a world where sailors rejected the authority of kings and created their own rules. But no empire ignores lost wealth forever. Every merchant ship captured meant money lost. Every attack weakened trade. Every pirate victory challenged the authority of powerful nations. Eventually, the wars between Europe began to end. Treaties were signed. The great naval fleets were no longer needed for constant warfare. And suddenly, thousands of trained sailors and powerful warships were available for a new mission. The empires turned toward the Caribbean. They turned toward the pirate havens, and they turned toward you. The Golden Age of Piracy had entered its final chapter. At first, the governments did not attack with cannons. They offered something more tempting, a second chance, the king's pardon. Official proclamations were sent across the Atlantic. Any pirate who surrendered before a certain date could receive forgiveness. His crimes would be erased. He could return to society without fearing arrest, without fearing trial, without fearing the gallows. For many pirates, the offer was impossible to ignore. Years at sea had left them exhausted. Their bodies carried scars. Their fortunes had been spent. The freedom they once loved had become a life of constant danger. The pardon offered peace, a home, perhaps even a future. Some famous pirates accepted. Benjamin Hornigold, once one of the most successful pirate captains in the Caribbean, chose to surrender. He had helped shape the pirate world, yet he understood that the world was changing. Others refused. They did not trust the king. They believed the pardon was a trap. They had spent years fighting against governments. Why should they believe those same governments now? To them, surrender meant betrayal. The pirate brotherhood began to divide. Old friends chose different paths. Some sailed into colonial ports and accepted forgiveness. Others raised the black flag again. The unity that had protected pirate society slowly began to disappear. Then came the second part of the government's plan: force. Powerful naval warships were sent across the Atlantic. These were not slow merchant vessels. They were fast, heavily armed ships built for war. Their crews were disciplined. Their officers were experienced. Their cannons could destroy a pirate ship from a distance. The small pirate sloops that had once hunted merchant ships now faced enemies they could not easily defeat. The hunters had become the hunted. Governors were also given new authority. One of the most important was Woodes Rogers, a former privateer who understood the world of piracy. He was appointed governor of the Bahamas. His mission was simple: destroy the pirate republic. Rogers sailed toward Nassau with warships behind him. In one hand, he carried the king's pardon. In the other, he carried the threat of military force: surrender or be destroyed. It was a powerful strategy. Some pirates accepted the pardon immediately. Others fled. Some prepared to fight. But Nassau was no longer safe. The place that had once represented freedom now became a symbol of the empire's return. The pirate world was shrinking. Every harbor became dangerous. Every ship on the horizon might be a naval hunter. Every stranger in a tavern could be an informant. The sea itself no longer felt free. Then came the most painful betrayal of all. Former pirates began hunting their old brothers. Men who had accepted pardons were hired to track down the pirates who refused.
They knew the secret coves. They understood pirate tactics. They knew where ships hid during storms. They knew how pirates thought. The governments had discovered the perfect weapon. They turned pirates against pirates. Benjamin Hornigold became one of these hunters. The man who had once sailed under the black flag now worked for the government. He helped capture former companions. The Brotherhood was no longer united. It was tearing itself apart. As months passed, the stories became darker. A famous captain captured, a pirate ship destroyed, a crew taken in chains. The golden age that had once seemed unstoppable was disappearing. You could feel the world closing around you. The old choices were gone. There was no longer an easy path. Every pirate faced the same question: accept the pardon or continue fighting. One path offered peace, the other offered freedom. But freedom now carried a greater price than ever before, because the next ship you saw on the horizon might not be a merchant vessel, it might be a warship, and the men aboard would not surrender. They would hunt you, capture you, and carry you to the gallows. The age of easy victories was over. The pirate republic was falling, and for every man still sailing beneath the black flag, a final question remained. How would the story end?
The Golden Age of Piracy was never meant to last. For every pirate who raised the black flag, there was one question that lingered quietly in the back of his mind. How would it all end? No pirate expected to grow old. Very few believed they would die peacefully in bed. Every voyage could be their last. Every battle could become their final memory. Every sail on the horizon might carry either fortune or death. There was no single ending to a pirate's life. Some met glorious deaths in battle. Others died beneath the hangman's rope. Some vanished into history after accepting the king's pardon. A fortunate few simply disappeared, blending back into ordinary society. But every ending began the same way, with one final decision: fight or surrender. For many pirates, death came exactly where they expected it would, on the deck of a ship. Cannons thundered across the sea, musket balls ripped through smoke-filled air, swords clashed against cutlasses. The narrow wooden decks became rivers of splintered timber and blood. Naval officers knew that pirate captains were dangerous as long as they remained alive. Their first objective was simple: kill the captain, break the crew's spirit, end the battle quickly. Some captains refused every chance to surrender. Among the most famous was Blackbeard. His real name was Edward Teach. His terrifying appearance had already become legend. During battle, he tied slow-burning fuses beneath his hat. The smoke surrounded his face like flames from hell itself. His enemies believed they were fighting a demon. But even legends could die. In November 1718, Blackbeard's final battle took place off the coast of North Carolina. Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy led the attack. The fighting was brutal. The two crews collided in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Blackbeard fought until the very end. When the battle finally ended, his body carried numerous sword wounds and multiple gunshot wounds. His death marked far more than the fall of one pirate. It symbolized the beginning of the end for an entire era. Yet not every pirate died in battle. Many were captured alive. For them, something even more terrifying waited: the gallows. Once captured, pirates were placed in heavy iron chains. They were transported to major colonial ports such as Port Royal, Kingston,
Boston or London. Crowds gathered whenever a pirate ship arrived. People wanted to see the infamous outlaws with their own eyes. The trials rarely lasted long. Pirates were tried in admiralty courts. Unlike ordinary criminal courts, there was no local jury. The evidence was often overwhelming. Captured aboard a pirate ship, weapons in hand, witnesses ready to testify. The verdict was nearly always the same: guilty. The sentence? Death by hanging. Execution day became a public event. Church bells rang. Thousands gathered near the gallows. Merchants, sailors, women, children, government officials, everyone came to watch. The authorities wanted the executions to send a message: piracy would not be tolerated. One by one, prisoners climbed the wooden platform. The noose was placed around each man's neck. Some prayed, some cursed the crown, some remained silent. Others laughed until the very end. Then the trapdoor opened. Within seconds, another pirate's story had ended. But even death was not always enough. The bodies of notorious pirate captains were sometimes covered with tar and sealed inside iron cages called gibbets. These cages were hung near busy harbors. Months passed, years passed. The skeletons remained swinging in the wind. Every passing sailor understood the warning: this is what becomes of those who sail beneath the black flag. Not every punishment ended in death. Some pirates faced a different fate: marooning. Unlike execution, marooning came from within the pirate brotherhood. A pirate who betrayed his crew, stole from the company, or broke the articles in especially serious ways could be abandoned on an isolated island. The punishment was both simple and cruel. The crew left him with only a few basic supplies, perhaps a small amount of water, a little food, a knife, sometimes a pistol with a single shot. Then they sailed away. The island disappeared behind the horizon. The condemned pirate faced the sea alone. Some survived, most did not. Yet surprisingly, the most common ending was neither battle nor execution. It was retirement. Not the wealthy retirement described in adventure stories, simply walking away. When King George offered his general pardon, thousands accepted. They surrendered their ships, swore loyalty to the crown, returned to ordinary jobs. Some became fishermen, others returned to merchant vessels, some settled in colonial towns and never spoke of their pirate years again. History rarely remembers these men. There were no songs written about them, no legends, no novels. They simply disappeared. Their greatest treasure was survival itself. The dream of retiring with unimaginable riches was almost always just that, a dream. Pirates spent money almost as quickly as they earned it. Rum, clothes, weapons, food, celebration. Most fortunes vanished within weeks. Very few pirates died wealthy. The legendary stories of hidden fortunes belonged mostly to fiction rather than history. As the years passed, fewer black flags appeared on the horizon. Pirate havens grew quiet. The Great Brotherhood slowly disappeared. One ship at a time, one captain at a time, one execution at a time. The Golden Age was ending, but something unexpected was beginning. The real pirates were fading away, while their legends were just beginning to grow.
The black flags slowly disappeared from the sea. The great pirate captains were gone. Some had fallen in battle, some had swung from the gallows, others had accepted the king's pardon and quietly returned to ordinary life. By the early 1720s, the Golden Age of Piracy was effectively over. The pirate republics had collapsed. The Caribbean was once again under the control of powerful empires. Trade routes became safer. Royal Navy patrols became stronger. The age of the pirate was ending.
Yet something remarkable was happening. Even as the real pirates vanished, their stories refused to die. In taverns across Europe and the American colonies, sailors continued telling tales of fearsome captains, daring escapes, violent battles, and impossible fortunes. Each storyteller added new details. Each listener remembered only the most exciting parts. Over time, history slowly transformed into legend. The first great step in that transformation came in 1724. A mysterious book appeared in London. Its title was long but unforgettable: A General History of the Robberies and Murders of the Most Notorious Pirates. The author called himself Captain Charles Johnson. To this day, historians are not completely certain who he really was. Some believe the name was a pseudonym. Others have suggested different famous writers. No one knows for certain, but everyone agrees on one thing: the book changed history forever. Johnson collected stories about the most famous pirates of the age: Blackbeard, Calico Jack Rackham, Charles Vane, Stede Bonnet, Anne Bonny, Mary Read. Many of the details came from court records, newspaper reports, and conversations with sailors who had known these men and women personally. Because of that, much of the book was surprisingly accurate. It described pirate articles, shipboard life, the division of treasure, daily routines, battles, punishments, the democratic traditions of pirate crews. For the first time, ordinary readers could glimpse what pirate life had actually been like. But Johnson was more than a historian. He was also a storyteller. Where facts were missing, he filled the gaps with colorful descriptions. He emphasized courage, violence, mystery, adventure. The pirates became larger than life, not merely criminals, but unforgettable characters. His book became an enormous success throughout Britain. Readers could not get enough. Suddenly, pirates were no longer simply outlaws. They were fascinating figures living outside society's rules. For more than 100 years, Johnson's book shaped the world's understanding of piracy. Then another writer changed everything once again. In 1883, Scottish author Robert Louis Stevenson published a novel that would define pirates for generations: Treasure Island. Stevenson wanted to write an exciting adventure story for young readers. He drew inspiration from Johnson's famous book, but instead of writing history, he wrote fiction. His imagination created many of the pirate images we still recognize today. The greatest invention was the treasure map, a mysterious island, a giant buried fortune, a faded piece of parchment, and one unforgettable symbol: X marks the spot. Real pirates almost never buried treasure. They spent their money quickly. They divided every prize among the crew. Saving enormous fortunes underground simply made no sense. Yet Stevenson's story was so powerful that millions of readers came to believe buried treasure was a normal part of pirate life. Another unforgettable creation was Long John Silver. Silver was unlike any pirate readers had encountered before. He was intelligent, funny, friendly, dangerous, kind one moment, deadly the next. He walked with a wooden leg, he carried a crutch, and perched upon his shoulder was a talking parrot named Captain Flint. That single character permanently changed popular culture. From that moment forward, people expected pirates to have parrots, treasure maps, and secret islands. History had quietly stepped aside. Legend had taken its place. As the 20th century arrived, a new form of storytelling carried those legends even farther: movies. Hollywood embraced pirate adventures with enthusiasm. Audiences loved grand sea battles, sword fights, storms, treasure hunts, dashing heroes. Actors like Errol Flynn transformed pirates into charming swashbucklers. Instead of dirty, exhausted sailors struggling to survive, they became graceful swordsmen, swinging from ropes and rescuing beautiful women. The harsh realities of disease, starvation, and endless hard labor slowly disappeared from public memory. Adventure replaced hardship, romance replaced suffering, entertainment replaced history. Generations grew up believing this fictional version was real. Then, in the 21st century, another pirate captured the world's imagination: Captain Jack Sparrow. With his crooked smile, eccentric walk, quick wit, and unpredictable nature, he became one of the most famous fictional pirates ever created. Like Long John Silver before him, Jack Sparrow blended danger with humor. He was clever rather than cruel, resourceful rather than brutal. Millions of people around the world fell in love with the character. For many, he became the face of piracy itself. Yet the real pirates of history would hardly recognize him. The truth was far less glamorous. Real pirates rarely searched for buried treasure. They rarely dueled dramatically across ship masts. They did not spend years chasing magical artifacts. Most were ordinary sailors driven by desperate circumstances. They endured hunger, disease, violence, hard labor, and constant fear. Many died before reaching 35 years of age. Their lives were short, often miserable. Yet within that hardship, they created something extraordinary. A society built on shared risk, democratic voting, equal shares, compensation for the wounded, freedom from the brutal discipline of naval service. It was imperfect, violent, illegal, but it was unlike anything else in the Atlantic world. That is why pirates continue to fascinate us today. Not because they buried treasure, not because they kept parrots, but because they challenged authority. They rejected kings, they wrote their own rules, and for a brief moment in history, they built a world that belonged only to themselves. The real pirate vanished centuries ago, but the legend he inspired has never stopped sailing.
The age of real pirates ended more than 3 centuries ago. Their ships have long since disappeared beneath the waves. Their wooden ports have rotted away. Their flags have faded into history. Yet, somehow, pirates never truly vanished. Today, almost everyone recognizes the image of the pirate. The black flag, the skull and crossbones, the weathered captain with a sword at his side. Children dress as pirates for Halloween. Books continue to tell their stories. Movies earn billions of dollars. Video games invite players to sail beneath the black flag. The pirate has become one of the most recognizable figures in the world. But why? Why do we still remember them when so many other sailors have been forgotten? The answer lies far beyond treasure or adventure. Pirates represent something much deeper: freedom. For most people living during the 17th and 18th centuries, life offered very few choices. A poor farmer remained a farmer. A laborer remained a laborer. A sailor followed orders from officers who ruled through fear. Kings ruled by birth. Governments demanded obedience. Social class determined almost everything. Pirates rejected that world. They chose a different path. It was dangerous, illegal, often brutal, but it was their own. On a pirate ship, a captain could be voted out of command. A common sailor could speak during important decisions. Treasure was divided according to written agreements. Even wounded crew members received compensation. Compared with many governments of the time, pirate society could seem surprisingly fair. It was never perfect. Violence remained a constant part of life. Disputes still occurred. Punishments could be severe. Yet many sailors believed that life under the Articles was better than life under the brutal discipline of the Royal Navy or a merchant vessel. That idea continues to fascinate historians. Pirates remind us that even in harsh times, ordinary people searched for fairness. They searched for dignity. They searched for the chance to control their own lives. Of course, reality was far less romantic than legend. A pirate's life was filled with suffering. Storms could destroy an entire crew. Disease spread rapidly through crowded ships. Fresh food disappeared after only a few weeks. Scurvy slowly weakened the body. A single cannonball could shatter an arm. An infected wound could become a death sentence. Many pirates never lived long enough to enjoy their stolen wealth. The average career lasted only a few years. Some survived for only a single voyage. Yet, despite those hardships, they left an unforgettable mark on history. They changed naval warfare. They challenged global empires. They forced governments to strengthen international trade routes. They inspired countless books, paintings, songs, and films. Even the language they spoke survives today. Words like ahoy, matey, buccaneer, and Jolly Roger instantly bring pirates to mind. Many traditional sea shanties first became widely known through pirate stories. Even the nautical traditions of the age continue to influence sailors around the world. The pirate may have disappeared, but his culture never completely died. Every generation reinvents him. Sometimes he is a ruthless criminal. Sometimes he is a misunderstood rebel. Sometimes he is a charming trickster. Sometimes he is an unlikely hero. Each version reflects the hopes and dreams of the people telling the story. That may be the greatest reason pirates continue to captivate us. They are mirrors. Each generation sees something different beneath the black flag. Some see adventure. Others see freedom. Some see rebellion. Others see justice. History provides the facts. Legend fills the empty spaces. Together, they create one of the most enduring myths ever told. But after spending this journey living aboard a pirate ship, after standing watch beneath endless stars, sharing rough meals with your crew, surviving storms, hearing the roar of cannons, and watching the black flag rise above the mast, you now know the truth. Real pirates were not superheroes. They were not fearless adventurers searching for magical treasure. They were ordinary people making extraordinary and often desperate choices. Some became villains. Some became legends. Most became forgotten. Yet for one brief moment in history, they built a world unlike any that had existed before. A floating society governed by its own laws, its own democracy, its own brotherhood. And although that world lasted for only a generation, its story has survived for centuries. Perhaps that's the greatest treasure pirates ever left behind. Not gold, not silver, not jewels buried beneath a lonely palm tree, but an idea. The idea that somewhere beyond the horizon, there once sailed men who refused to live by anyone else's rules. And that idea continues to capture our imagination, even today. The sea is quiet once again. The sails move gently in the wind. The endless horizon stretches in every direction. There are no warships in sight, no merchant vessels to chase, no cannons waiting to roar. Only the steady rhythm of the ocean. As you stand on the deck one last time, you begin to realize how much has changed. When this journey began, you thought pirates were little more than legendary adventurers, men with buried treasure, talking parrots, secret maps, and endless fortunes. Now you know better. You have lived their world. You have stood beside the helm during violent storms. You have hauled ropes until your hands bled. You have watched the quartermaster repair shattered masts while the ship rolled beneath him. You have seen wounded men endure brutal surgery with little more than rum to dull the pain. You have witnessed the terrifying power of a broadside. You have crossed onto an enemy ship with sword in hand. You have celebrated victory in the crowded taverns of Nassau. You have listened to sea shanties echo across the dark Atlantic, and you have watched an entire way of life slowly disappear beneath the weight of powerful empires. You understand something now that many people never do. Pirates were neither heroes nor monsters. They were human beings, flawed, ambitious, fearful, hopeful, like everyone else. Many had been born into poverty. Some had escaped abusive captains. Others had fled harsh naval discipline or impossible debts. For many, piracy was not their first choice. It was simply the path that promised a chance, however small, for freedom. That freedom came at an enormous cost. Every sunrise carried uncertainty. Every strange sail on the horizon brought danger. Disease could spread without warning. A storm could erase an entire crew. One mistaken battle could end a lifetime in seconds. No pirate truly escaped fear. They simply learned to live beside it. And yet, despite all the hardship, something remarkable existed aboard those ships. The Articles. Written agreements accepted by every member of the crew. Votes instead of blind obedience. Compensation for the wounded. Shared profits, shared risks, shared responsibility. Long before many governments embraced ideas of equality, pirate crews had already experimented with them in their own rough and imperfect way. Their floating republics were never peaceful, they were never lawful, but they were built upon a simple belief. No man should carry all the risk, while another claimed all the reward. Perhaps that idea explains why historians continue to study them, why writers continue to imagine them, why filmmakers continue to bring them back to life. Because beneath every pirate story lies a timeless question. What would you sacrifice for freedom? Would you abandon security for independence? Would you reject authority if it meant facing constant danger? Would you choose a short life lived on your own terms, or a long life spent following someone else's orders? There is no single answer. Every pirate answered that question differently. Some sought fortune, some sought revenge, some simply sought survival. Most found only a brief moment of freedom before history finally caught them. The Golden Age of Piracy lasted barely 30 years, a single generation. Yet in that short time, it created legends that have endured for more than 3 centuries. Very few historical movements have left such a lasting mark on the world's imagination. Today, the oceans are crossed by steel cargo ships guided by satellites. Navigation no longer depends on the stars alone. Cannons have been replaced by engines. Wooden sloops have disappeared from the sea. The pirate republics exist only in history books. But every so often, when someone hears the cry of a distant gull, or watches waves breaking against an empty shore, or sees a weathered black flag fluttering in the wind, the old stories return. Stories of hidden coves, dangerous voyages, brotherhood, adventure, and the dream of absolute freedom beyond the horizon. Most of those stories are legends. Some are true. Now you know which is which. You have seen the myth and the reality behind it. The real treasure was never buried gold. It was understanding. Understanding how ordinary sailors created an extraordinary world. A world that was violent, democratic, cruel, loyal, dangerous, and unforgettable. Our voyage has finally reached its end. The anchor falls, the sails are lowered, the deck grows quiet. One by one, the lanterns burn low. The sea, which has carried us through every chapter of this journey, slowly fades into the darkness. Thank you for sailing through history with me. I hope that the next time you hear the words pirate or Jolly Roger, you will remember not only the legends, but also the real men and women whose lives inspired them. Until our next journey through the past, may your seas remain calm, your stars remain bright, and your horizon always promise another story.